Please enjoy this uninterrupted conversation brought to you by Career Bond, a career education marketplace that brings pre-qualified adult enrollees directly to partner schools. If you're looking to fill seats in a career-focused program, visit careerbond.com. That's career-bond, BOND.com, to see how you could leverage their audience of hundreds of thousands of adult learners. Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to ed up on the Ed Up Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the Ed Up Experience. We are back on another episode with my co-host, Darius Goldman, founder and CEO at Career Bond. Darius, don't wave. Don't.
I can't. I fight it. I'm waving. What's a visceral? Like I need movement. And if someone says hello to me, I have to wave. And in fact, on like web, even though we're not showing this to people, it says if you wave and show your hand, you're more trustworthy. Like because it's already so unpersonal that we're just talking heads.
Yeah.
So I must show you my hands.
Yeah, even though this is audio only. Yeah, I love that. No, but I think I saw the same one. It was the palm, right?
Yeah, show your palm.
I saw that one too. Yeah. Wow, we read the same articles. That's awesome.
There you go.
Well, anyway, thanks for coming back. And let's bring in our guest today. She is Rhea Vitalis. She's a vice president of marketing at Everspring. Rhea, how you doing today?
I'm great. It's great to be here. I'm a hand talker too, so everyone could trust me.
That's great. Well, thanks for being with us, Rhea. I really appreciate your time. So let's get right into it, Rhea. Tell us all about what you do and how do you do it?
Yeah, I have spent my entire career in marketing. So 2 decades of digital marketing. Really started my career in content marketing, and how you bring a brand to life, how you find stories that resonate about a brand to the people you're trying to connect with, but really transitioned into performance marketing. So marrying strong brand story with how you actually distribute that story to the people that you want to connect with. So I spent 2 decades in digital marketing leadership, search engine marketing, and then have spent about the last 5 years specifically in higher ed, university strategy, student recruitment, brand repositioning. And today I lead the AI research that we are doing here at Everspring to help bring the biggest performance trends to the teams who are navigating a whole lot of change on the front lines of higher ed.
So I have to ask, and I know Jerry's going to ask a bunch of fun questions, but I have to ask, how in the world, because I'm having a hard time, Rhea, keeping up with AI. Every day, different tool, different, and as a matter of fact, I listened to a podcast the other day and they said, you know what, just stick to one because you got to at least try to master one because there's just so many, it's like insane. How do you stay up to date? I mean, what's your process and how do you say, you know what, I'm going to try this one and I think I don't need it. I don't think my customers or my clients or my partners, they don't need to know about that. Like, tell us, what's your process? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think trying to stay up to date on all of the changes that are happening in AI is an impossible task. So for me, it's more about understanding what problems I'm trying to solve and what tools are available to me to solve those problems. And in some cases, AI is the tool to solve that problem. And then there are so many options for what tool is the best tool, how you're going to deploy it, how it works with inside your ecosystem, or if it's just something you're using. So for me, it's really about starting with the problem, and then AI is secondary to that.
Gotcha. What do you, Darius?
I love the handoffs. Okay, so I'm biased in this. I wanted you on the pod because I'll tell you why. I've done maybe a dozen now with Elvin, and it's usually people from the university where they're talking about like how great the university is doing, which is lovely. I met you at the UPSIA conference where you like gave brass tacks of like, this is how you have to do it. And
Yeah.
after your session, like I was a fan in the seats. I came up, I was like, hey, I want to talk to you about like what you're doing. So I think your session was called like Click Funnel. What was it called? It was called like from click click chasing to trust building. I wrote it down. Click chasing to trust building. I love that session. I actually want to talk a lot of these pods we talk about like running an institution. I actually want to talk about this because I think all the presidents that listen to this pod, this is the stuff they need to know. Like, so I think it's fascinating, and like let's open with that, and then I'm gonna interject. But you gave a session. It was called "Click Chasing to Trust Building." I found it so helpful that I stalked you at the end of the session. I was one of those people that like wanted to talk to you, and now we're on the pod together, and we haven't spoken since. So run with that.
Yeah, I mean, so I I introduced myself, but I didn't introduce Everspring. Everspring is a digital and AI enablement company that provides a mix of services that help colleges and universities solve urgent challenges and capture new market opportunity. And today, one of the most urgent challenges and opportunities is rooted in driving enrollment, but the visibility crisis that AI is causing has a direct and serious impact on enrollment. And universities are feeling this. And it's just another layer of disruption in a market that is already so disrupted. And I think about a lot of universities focus a lot on their brand story, and they have phenomenal storytellers who know the ins and outs of their brand, their students, the stories that they hold. Um, but the distribution strategy behind that brand story is really a different function and a different set of things that make that content findable. And so how a website is organized, your digital presence. Um, it's really making or breaking whether or not students can find your brand. And for a lot of students, brand searches are not where they start. They're starting with the skills that they want, the careers that they want. Um, they're starting with their values, and then they're finding the universities that they're going to continue to research early in the funnel, maybe not based on some of the attributes that used to matter more. And so I think it opens a lot of opportunities for these smaller brands to compete based on where they really are differentiated, and creates a lot of risk for universities who aren't adapting and who are just saying, like, well, I'm not seeing a lot of traffic right now from ChatGPT, so I'm not too worried about this. It's kind of the wrong question.
So I agree, and this is why like I was so excited to have this follow up conversation. You led with something that's absolutely correct. The universities, and every university is different in its own way, but they all have mastered their unique story. Elvin and I have done a dozen pods. Elvin's done hundreds of pods. I've only done a dozen with Elvin, where we hear these fantastic stories. Here's what the university doesn't get: the people they're telling that story to have already found them. Otherwise, they're never going to hear the story. So, like,
Yeah.
it's almost like if you have, I'll use the term prospects and customers, and probably universities don't like to use that term, but like let's use that term, prospects and customers. You have 100,000 prospects, you have 100 customers, right? That's the funnel. The
Yeah.
prospects aren't hearing the story because they're not finding you. So the only people who are hearing the story are the people who already found you, or the people who are already your customers. And like, so great, they're drinking the same Kool-Aid, but it's so like, how do you tell the story? And what what fascinated me when I was listening to your presentation and looking at your slides, I remember you had like organic search, AI, paid, like,
Hmm.
and like the power of organic and AI. And like the reason I wanted you on to talk about it is because that's also like what I'm seeing on social media. So you're doing it through, you know, I call it the internet Google, but like I'm doing it through TikTok.
Hmm.
Talk a little like
Yeah.
let's throw in some like tips. Talk a little about like for the university president or the marketing director with like their notepad out right now. Like what are some of the like low hanging fruit that like at this point you've taken for granted that they're still not even aware of?
I mean, we've been evolving search strategies for universities for, I would say, aggressively in the last 12 to 18 months. So this is not a recent shift. It's a shift that needed to take place some time ago. And it really starts with uh, defining the type of traffic that you're trying to capture. So if you're trying to solve an enrollment problem, you want high intent traffic. And there's a certain type of content strategy that is going to help you find and bring in high intent traffic, including traffic from people who aren't searching directly for your brand, but are searching for careers and skills and other attributes. And that content strategy is going to help them find you. um, where we've seen things evolve has been in, the role that this question and answer strategy comes into play. So having a strong content to be uh, included in answers that are being surfaced in Google, that are being surfaced in LLMs, and knowing what questions are being asked most frequently so that you can prioritize those in your content strategy. Another big piece
Is
of
there a way? Is there a way to to know what questions are being asked to the LLM, just like Google used to have the keywords? Are there ChatGPT keywords? And obviously, I'm not using the correct industry vernacular, but
Yeah, like what prompts are being searched. There are some workarounds that you can use to measure what is being asked in ChatGPT or how often your site is being crawled and surfaced in a ChatGPT prompt. So in some cases, we can use that as a proxy to see what pages are being most crawled by ChatGPT, and how frequently are those being crawled. So you can track changes over time or prioritize certain pages on your site. So there are some ways to measure that, and those are things that we look at. Though there isn't a back end like we have in Google where we can pull out, here are all of the prompts being asked and build a content strategy based on data that's findable directly in something like ChatGPT.
so I'm surprised I didn't try this yet. Can you ask ChatGPT to like rank your site and hey chat, I need you to start using my site more when you talk to other people. Pretty please.
I'm sure if that worked, it wouldn't work for long. Everyone would do it. Um, but I was going to say the other piece is really the structure behind that content strategy and how the search engines understand what content you have and how it's related. And one of the things I talked about in my presentation was this idea of intent and how smart these search engines have become in understanding the intent behind your question and surfacing answers. So most people trained themselves in how to Google search something, and they would kind of retrofit their question into this Boolean search. And that's just not how people search anymore. I mean, we've been trained for years and years to ask voice assisted questions. And so now the prompts and the questions that people are typing in, even into their Google search browser, are long, detailed, personal questions. And you can get back a pretty good answer. The machines have become uh, really good at giving you back something that's relevant and accurate. So a lot of what we do is not just defining what content or what themes need to be built, but also how those themes need to be interrelated and understandable by the machines. And then the other piece is the technical component. And that is making sure that on the back end of a website, that the back end of a website is really readable, not just by humans, but by the machines that are crawling the content.
An interesting thing that happened, and I'm a non-technical founder. It happened on our own website that was sparked by attending the UPSIA conference. So shout out to UPSIA. I came back and I was like, okay, we have to do this whole AI web analysis. And because we were using one of those vibe coding website builders for just our front end website, our brochure page, not our
Mhm.
infrastructure, none of it was visible to AI.
Yeah.
So just because the human sees it doesn't mean AI see it. And there is a fix to it. It deals with like how you cache it, or
Hmm.
again, I'm
Yep.
probably
Yep.
using the wrong word, but that was fascinating to me because as a non-technical founder, I just assumed, well, I see it. So chat, AI sees it, but no, not it's things could be visible in certain ways that aren't visible to AI. I thought that was fascinating. So we corrected that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we've been doing for, I would say, the last quarter is running tons and tons of scans on university websites to see how much of their traffic is being intercepted by an AI answer. So, how often, when a student does a search for a program or for your university, how likely is it that an AI summary is going to show up at the top of the search result? Because we know that when an AI summary does surface, it takes up 2/3 of the page. So people are not scrolling down to the top blue link that you worked for years and spent a lot of time optimizing. They are never getting there. And so for a lot of universities, that's happening between 30 to 50% of the time. 30 to 50% of the time, someone's searching for your university, searching for a program, they're being intercepted by AI. And then we also look at, okay, how often is your university then showing up in the answer? And that percentage is very low. Um, I think it hovers around 2 to 3%. So that is a huge risk. And to your point, we've found universities that are huge brand names. They're household, big university brands that, because of simple technical errors, are not showing up in that AI summary at all and don't stand a chance to get there unless they fix the technical error.
With AI summary being as important as it is, are Google ads officially dead, or will they just morph into sponsored AI summaries?
Um, Google ads are not dead, but how you need to orchestrate your campaigns has definitely changed. And some of the things that have worked and are tried and true in paid media and advertising, or things that never made a whole lot of sense, like some of the very top of funnel awareness campaigns that you could run in Google didn't make a whole lot of sense if you were trying to drive enrollment and were really looking at the ROI of your ad spend on generating students. Today, some of those are things that we are actively testing into and running campaigns on because that's the only way that you are able to pay to play in an AI summary.
I would think like what's striking me the most right now, and it's probably going to be scary for the listeners. I would think if your campaign is 12 months old, it's already out of date. And I would think that more schools out there are probably running 3-year-old campaigns, maybe even 5-year-old campaigns. Like, oh, we had a guy set it up for us once.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is the LLMs are also looking at, and Google does this too, like looking at your story across assets. So if you have a 3-year-old campaign that's running and you're updating your website and your social media, but you haven't addressed some of these lingering dated campaigns, that's also a risk because the machines are reading it and saying something doesn't match here. Is this accurate? Is it up to date? So the more discrepancy there is in your digital presence, the more risk you have in not being surfaced as well.
I saw that in a different presentation at Upsia. The reminder that you're you have a paid ad, you're also on LinkedIn, you're doing campaign here. Is there continuity between them?
Mhm.
And even better, just structured so you're repurposing for A to B to C. So you're forcing the continuity between them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I was talking to someone earlier too, just about, I was thinking about these different channels in the context of where you're meeting students in wherever they are in their search journey, but also the competitive set that they're evaluating against will vary depending on where they are in their search journey. And so competing at the top of the funnel, building awareness, building trust in some of those social channels also becomes really important, because you're creating some influence before students are searching, or you're reinforcing a message after they've found you, or while they're making a decision.
I agree. I'm seeing it. I see it in all the different mediums. So I'm big on social, which you know.
Yeah.
The things that I've learned in the past few weeks compared to like when I started doing it, it still evolves. But like the trend in certain ways, to the extent that on Google, and when I say Google, I sort of mean chat and like because I funny,
All the
I actually don't Google anymore. Now I chat. Like and if I need like good writing, I go to Claude. And if I need good research, I go to Perplexity. Like,
mm.
is that consistent? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think they all have there's so many infographics of what's the best tool for this type of thing. But I was reading a stat earlier around how much time people spend in the search results page in Google and then on your website when they get there through the search result versus Chat GPT. And it's so different. You know, people spend less than a minute when they Google something and get to the results page, they spend less than a minute there. And if they do click through, they spend, I think benchmark is 2 to 4 minutes on average on your page when they get there versus 14 minutes in ChatGPT in a session is the average. So that's a totally different search experience. It's a conversation.
now it's funny. So it is a conversation. And I think this is the sort of thing that you'll take, not that you take for granted, but I should say differently, like presidents of universities that are just becoming familiar themselves, that they don't yet appreciate the way that chat works. And I remember when it was like, when it was the brand new thing,
Mhm.
prompts, prompts, prompts. Now it's like, it's not, there's no magic prompt. I remember like
Yeah.
all the get rich quicks were like, here the top 100 prompts. No, it's not about a prompt. Chat is a really intelligent child. So you have to talk to it like a child in small building blocks to get to where you want to go. You don't get to turn on chat and just say, I need an email cadence, 7-step email cadence for a prospective student. No.
Yeah.
Like warm it up. And then like the best thing you could do if you don't even know a prompt, I'll say to chat, what are your questions? And then chat will give me 30 questions that takes me like 10 minutes to answer, but I'll answer each one on a Notion page, then cut and paste and just drop it in. And then it's ready. But there's no single prompt. It's have a conversation, which is goes to your point. That's why you're on chat for 15 minutes. You're engaging with it.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, students are familiar in using ChatGPT for schoolwork and for their own research already. For graduate student audiences, they are using it in their workday. I think on average, people use it at least 30 minutes a day. That's far more than time than they spend on Amazon or, you know, other tools that are just ingrained in daily life. So these are tools that that prospective students are fluent in and that they rely on. I use this stat in my presentation or spoke to it, which is just how often people are using ChatGPT to help them make complex decisions. Like people are outsourcing not just how do I write an email flow or how do I, you know, find the best, how do I evaluate a car purchase? Like they are relying on it to help them um unpack and solve complex things that are coming up in their work life and their school life. And they are definitely using it to research universities. And I think they are going back and forth and asking a lot of questions, not just about academics, but about student life, about career outcomes, for sure, about tuition and financial aid. So having content that can surface answers is so important.
I agree. I think one of the cool things about it is with an encyclopedia, because I grew up in that age, you turn the page, you'd read, you'd find something.
Mhm.
But chat is so much more than an encyclopedia that you have to give it the right context. What I do is I will tell chat when I'm going into one of my deep sessions, I'll tell I'll give it the personality of either an author or a famous person to influence the style of the advice you're going to get, because you're going to get different advice based on if you said answer me as Barack Obama versus Donald Trump to the same question, it will give you appropriate advice based on the reams of data from both of those very public figures. That's what's amazing about it. So there's no one right answer that it gives. And I guess it goes back to your earlier point of schools really need to be holistic in their approach to make sure that they're showing up in chat in the right ways for the right reasons.
Yeah. I mean, it's allowing students to do really complex, time consuming research in a very, not just short amount of time, but in a consolidated interaction. So, whereas it may have taken weeks, if not months, to evaluate what your options are and narrow down a consideration set and do deeper research and attend different info sessions and go through nurture streams and read different website pages. That's happening in a very consolidated interaction, which is opens up opportunity, but it's also very dangerous if you're not showing up there or you have inaccurate information that's showing up. You could be out of the running before the race even starts.
Absolutely. You said earlier about the compound questions. You didn't use that word. That's sort of how I absorbed it. But I'm taking my kids to vacation in February. Hey chat, I need a resort that is family friendly with a all
Yeah,
inclusive and a water park in 3 hours flight from New York airports. You're giving it that story. Like,
yeah,
and it's coming back to you with,
helpful information.
which
Yeah,
is awesome. Yeah.
I used one of those examples in the session, which it's an example from Google around, like, basically help me build a travel itinerary for Nashville, and it's like, I like things that are off the beaten path and, um live music and a couple other things. And you could see all of the micro queries that were happening behind the scenes of that question. And what was so fascinating to me was how many micro queries were happening that didn't share any of the keywords that were in the initial question. So you're able to ask something very personalized, and it's understanding uh, what you're trying to accomplish, and then running these things behind the scenes to help surface something that's going to be highly relevant to you.
Is it fair to say like those micro queries, those are what the keyword searches used to be? So the micro query could be
Yeah.
Nashville honky tonk bar, Nashville barbecue, like, and that would have at one time been the keyword.
Right. Right. And that's just not how people are searching anymore. So how you those longer long tail keywords, optimizing for those is a big opportunity, but how you do it is just as important as what you're doing.
Agreed. So back to the warning. If a school is even 12 months out of date, they got to call Everspring. You're behind. There's so much going on. This is where, like, so social is, I feel like social is the new search, which is something I advocate for, but social is still pure in this regard. So we do a lot of organic social, and the way people will find like our posts or my posts is they will search the keywords because the search box in social doesn't allow for I'm going to Nashville, blah, blah. So they will say Nashville barbecue spots. And then people who talk about Nashville barbecue spots will show up. And I think that's just part of the evolution of the way they used to search on Google, like keyword search, is now being done on Instagram and TikTok. But that's also because they have an algorithm that acts as AI that shows you now the people who are talking about all that stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that made me think of this other piece of it, which is traditionally, content strategy is managed by different people than manage paid ads, than maybe manage social media. And today, it is really important that the strategy and the insights that are coming from those different channels are being thought about holistically. So you're getting a lot of information from your social channel of keywords that people are typing in to find you and what is most relevant, what is most frequently asked. If that's just living in social and not making its way back to a paid ads team and is not making its way back to the team thinking about what content to build next, that's also a missed opportunity. And I think right now I see a lot of that siloed across internal and external teams, and there's bringing it back together isn't always happening. And then using that information to adapt strategies in real time is also not happening as often as it should, especially with how fast things are changing.
I'll give you my reason why that's happening or not happening, depending on how you want to respond to your point. Schools, especially the bigger ones, with each of their colleges, and then one marketing team for each of the five different colleges within the school. They can't. They just can't. They can't do it operationally. They were not built to be a nimble startup like machine. And then back to Upsia where we met. The sessions that I sat on where they were talking about like the amazing results they had was because each of the people in their own way found a way to break through
Hmm.
that organizational rigidity and like, hey, we created this one department. This one department now controls marketing for each of the 10 colleges, or we created our own OPM that now serves the school. That's what you need.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much opportunity at the central level to make changes that have university wide, and there is a lot of good work happening not even just at the school level, but at the program level. And the opportunity for impact there is just so much smaller. So, really bringing that up several levels. I mean, for sure, at the dean level and thinking about how that work is being applied across the college. But then, the university is and how the university website is architected and the optimizations behind the main website is so important, and we see a lot of that decentralized for a lot of different reasons. And I think addressing that as part of this is going to be really important to have big impact and sustaining impact.
I agree with that as well. I can't get past how hard that must be. Like even I started to get anxious. You're talking about the universe. Someone's mandate is I need to fill seats in our allied healthcare class. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, but your main website, you're like, oh my God, that's so beyond like my pay level.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a both and there's work that needs to be done at a central level that really is essential, and it's how that brand story gets carried through into these layers of the university and are reinforced throughout the student journey. And then at the college level, there's driving enrollment, and creating the right content, the right experiences for students making those decisions. It has to be a both and.
Agreed, agreed. Again, I think it's just hard for them. So is earlier when we started the session, you mentioned 5 years with Everspring in this university setting. Before that, you have a longer history just working in marketing generally. What's been the biggest shock? Like, because I don't think marketing is marketing. Like maybe it is, maybe it's not. But if someone comes and you've been in the industry long enough now that you're not green in university, you've been here 5 years. But what was the biggest shock for you entering into a university setting where the clients are the colleges and universities?
Um, I think I was so fluent and trained in performance marketing and really um and I think 5 years ago the conversation with universities was very different and very oriented around um content marketing, which still is incredibly important. But I am seeing a shift now to really making sure that that work is laddering up into the end result. I mean, budgets are getting cut or budgets are being asked to do a whole lot more. And so really understanding what's working and what's not and drilling in a layer or several layers deeper. I think the shock to me 5 years ago was that some of that wasn't happening, but I am seeing that change now as things are just the pressure is up.
When I would agree with that. When Everspring takes on a new partner, is it the university level or is it a department? Is it a college? One of, but not
Yeah.
others?
We work across all levels of the university, and I think that's one of the unique things about us and one of the, our history is really rooted. I mean, we are a performance marketing. We have let me start that over. Um, what was the question again?
Yeah,
Our
sure. Because you do so much, Everspring does so much, and because universities, we were talking about earlier, have this general friction of who's the actual client. I'm curious, does Everspring take on the entire university as a client or a department within the university?
Yeah, Everspring's work spans from the program level to the college level up to the university level. And we also plug in different ways. So our services plug into solving challenges that are happening at the top of the student journey, how they're finding you, but also to what they're learning from you. So we're implementing search visibility solutions so that brands can show up in AI answers. On the other side, we're also building content blocks that are allowing schools to plug AI competencies into their curriculum. So we work across the university. We really work to plug in to solve their challenges, and depending on who we're working with, that looks different. And depending on what we're solving, the solution looks a little bit different. Audiences are different at the individual program, but on the search side, making sure that it all layers together in a way that really reinforces your brand story and also drives enrollment um, is something that I think we are uniquely suited to do. It's understanding that connection between brand marketing and how you're perceived in market down to the distribution strategy for that brand marketing, and then making sure that that is actually driving enrollment results, and really understanding these channels deeply. I mean, you've got a lot of specialty shops that are out there right now who understand SEO really well or are, really drilling into AI or are really focused on paid or are really focused on brand our digital ecosystem. So we have deep expertise across these channels and have also been watching how these channels play together and how to adapt our strategy so that it's not just operating in a silo in paid media, for example. And then the other thing is we work across the entire student journey. So we also understand what's happening down funnel and how that's affecting enrollment and how that's affecting retention and how students coming in from different campaigns or different channels ultimately, whether or not they enroll and whether or not they sustain in a program. And having that down funnel data is really important, um, especially as it's harder and harder to get first party data. And so being able to build really high intent audiences and having really rich first party data to build those audiences off of is becoming more and more important today than it has ever been.
Oh, absolutely. Is there a difference then? We're talking about the audiences. 18-year-olds looking for the 4-year, adults looking to go back for degree completion or certificate. Do you obviously there are different niches within the same university. Do you focus on a specialty or is it whatever the needs are?
Yeah, we work across different audiences. I mean, we have uh, different careers, different levels of degree, different programs, different verticals. And the work really starts with understanding who that target audience is, where there's market opportunity, where that intersects with the differentiate the brand or the school or the program. And so that front end work is really important, and it's what enables us to set up the right structure regardless of who the audience is.
Makes sense.
So I gotta jump in, Darius. Sorry to cut you off. So we're coming up on time. Rhea, I usually ask everyone what do you see as the future of higher education, but I'm gonna ask you something a little different based on what you talked about today. Um, I want to know what's the big takeaway. I'm a college president. I'm a VP of marketing. I'm listening to you, Rhea, and I want to say, you know what? This is my big takeaway from this podcast episode. Listen to Rhea. I'm going to start doing this right now with my team. This is what we're going to implement today. What's that big takeaway? What do you think?
Um, I think the big takeaway is to not stand still. We don't have time to figure it out. Now is the time to lean on people who have had success and have a formula. Everspring has had success and has a formula, and we are evolving. We know that it's a changing landscape. What works today is not going to be the thing that works in 2 years. And so having a partner with that tenure uh, and who has seen change and who is going to adapt strategies and adapt tactics is really important. But I think the big takeaway is this is happening. It has happened, and it's changing fast. And now is not the moment to collect all the information and go back to committee and
I
wait to make a decision. Like, this is the moment to move.
Um,
actually I want to say what you said earlier. No, it's not now. It was 12 months ago. You're already a year behind. But you're absolutely right. They're going to take it to committee and then they're going to think about it next semester.
And it's solvable. I mean, there are things we are implementing things that work fast. So this is not a we'll build a roadmap and then we'll tell you what you should do. And then you wait 6 months, then you maybe see if it's working. You're going to get a quick answer to where you sit within days. You will get a roadmap within weeks. We will build that roadmap and make those changes. And you can see results very, very quickly in a matter of weeks. This is not a wait 12 months for something to bake.
It's not daunting. I left the conference and I consolidated all the tips from the sessions I went to and I gave it to my team and I said, here, do this. And we've already upgraded our website with the way you describe the thing, the chunky blocks, the
Ah,
FAQs. It's all doable. It's not a secret. It's just you need to do it.
yeah.
Now
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
and
nimble. I'm a ed tech. I'm not ed.
exactly,
Of the
exactly,
tech.
exactly.
So
Remember
we're
that.
nimble.
Ria, this has been such a great conversation, and I just want to add that I think partnership. That's where we're really, myself and my co-founder Joe, we're really all about partnerships in higher ed. That we need these partnerships in the higher ed, especially people from outside the institution to come in with fresh eyes and fresh perspectives and be able to tell you this is what's working, this is what's not working, this is how we can help you. So I love that. That's cool. If people want to reach out to you, what's the best way, Ria?
Yeah, I mean, I would visit our website at everspringpartners.com, and there's information on different services that we offer and a contact us page, and we'd love to connect.
Fantastic. We'll put that in the show notes. So first thing, me outro, my guest co-host Darius Goldman, founder and CEO at Career One. Darius, thank you as always.
I love it. It's fun. It breaks up my day. I love it. I absolutely
Yeah,
love doing this.
absolutely. And then let me outro our guest today, ladies and gentlemen. She is Rhea Vitalis. She is the Vice President of Marketing at Everspring. Rhea, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, you've just head out. Hope you enjoyed that conversation. Brought to you by Career Bond. Career Bond brings pre-qualified, enrollment-ready adults directly to career-focused training programs. Looking to fill seats? Visit careerbond.com. That's career-bond, BOND.com.